Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where last episode we just created our mining module and we did a battery of tests in simulations, and I believe that it is ready to go. This is the auto-saved version. We want this version because this is the actual version. I'm a little concerned about this joint though, and I'm just going to go ahead and strut that in a little bit. So we'll put in just a structural connector, say quadcouple that from here to here, just to make sure we have rigidity there. That should be absolutely fine. We probably want to have nose cones on this in reality. I'm definitely concerned about the nose cones taking out the solar array. That is deeply concerning to me. So I think we may want to end up moving these guys to be located not like this. I can tell you that right now. This is not at all how I want this to be. This is more like how I want it to be, and I'd like it to be probably here or so. Like that. Okay, and the idea there is so that we don't destroy these Gigantors with our nose cones when we detach those. So we'll go ahead and put a decoupler on here. We'll put TD12s, and we will put nose cones on this. So we'll put in an aerodynamic nose cone. This is a small nose cone. That's a tiny nose cone. We want very small. Why am I not seeing the correct nose cone here? Apparently I'm blind. That's definitely not it. That's not it either. I'm so blind. Okay, I know it's in here. That's the Mark 7. That's way too big. Miniature is too small? Absolutely. It's this one. Of course. I'm so blind. Now, I don't know if we're going to have an explosion when we decouple these, as we did previously, but that would be fine if we did. Let's go ahead and check on our decoupler situation. I do want to have these to be here. Okay, so we'll save that, and the mining module is, I believe, ready to be launched. Let's take a quick look at the center of mass and the aerodynamic overlay. This is going to be pretty stable, actually. Pretty stable. We maybe want to move that up ever so slightly, about like that. It's still going to be pretty stable here. We may want it to be a bit further up the rocket, even like that. A little weird looking, to be sure. But honestly, I think we're probably fine with this level of stability. So let's go ahead and save that and launch it. I just want to double check that we have everything that we need on this before we go. I've been bit by that too much recently. So let's see what we've got here. Power supply, check. Power storage, check. RCS, check. An ability to turn, check. A docking port, check. Nose cones that detach, check. Fuel, no, but in the center core we do, which should be good enough, in theory. I hope. And, see, anything else here? Yeah, this should be good to go. I don't think we're missing anything. SAS on, throttle up. I suppose we might be missing a small amount of delta V to get there, but ultimately I don't think that's the case. Like, this is going to be a lot of delta V once we get this into orbit here. So let's go ahead and lift this off. Next time we hit space, it is going to detach these nose cones, so we're not going to do that for a little while. We will go ahead and bring this up to around 100 meters per second. There we go. We'll hop over into orbital mode, and we will begin our turn here. Our Apple, ooh, that's definitely more stable than I would like to see. Well, we knew it would be pretty stable. We knew that this would be the case. And it'll be okay as we manage to handle this. Yeah, that's very stable indeed. The good news is we have good roll authority. The bad news is our yaw authority, I've seen better. We'll just try to hold this attitude for now as we approach over towards the prograde marker. We're still going reasonably slowly, so that is just fine. Just make our way over to that prograde marker. We currently have an apoapsis height of fairly low. So let's just hold here for now until our apoapsis gets a little bit higher. And we can always transfer this fuel, I believe, up to these tanks if we need to, if we want to have more delta V in this rather than the thrust to weight. So we're currently at an apoapsis of about 40k. And we're just going to continue making our way up here. Let's go ahead and hit that prograde marker now. There we go. Yeah, we're definitely cruising. There's no doubt about that. We're going to cut this throttle now. We're still pretty low in the atmosphere right now. Our apoapsis is continuing to shrink, and we might have to boost this up at some point. Okay. 1,000 meters per second. Looks good to me. And I don't think we'll have to boost this. Wonderful. At this point, I'm going to ditch these nose cones. At this point, I'm going to ditch these nose cones. There we go. Off they go. Fantastic. And we're just going to make our way slowly into space here, and we're also going to attempt to steer our way over to the maneuver node. Now, our turn here is not going to be particularly effective, and that is okay. Trying to stop the turn at this point. And we're trying to reverse this, but, I mean, we don't have a particularly powerful reaction wheel on this. This is to be expected. We're in space now. T-minus 21 seconds, so actually T-minus 11 and a half is when we want to burn this. That is a-okay. Okay, and then once we get this inserted into orbit, I'm going to try to move what fuel remains into the upper stage. So we will burn this right now. Changing our attitude ever so slightly there. Excellent. Only 896 meters per second in this? I definitely thought there would be more than that. Regardless, we will chase this marker a little bit. There we go. We're going to be able to move some fuel up, and that will be far more efficient in that upper engine, so that'll be fine. We'll just hold this about here. Just watching for... I mean, this is close enough. This is more than close enough. Okay, I don't know what's going on with this shadowing. That might be fixed by like a game restart. But for now, let's go ahead and pin this open, and let's pin this open. All of these. Excellent. And then let's go ahead and do out. And we'll store that fuel in the upper stage. Just transfer all that over. Excellent. I think the shadowing issue might have fixed itself. And then we will open up this one as well. And we will... this one as well. There we go. We will also move that liquid fuel and oxidizer up into the upper stage as well. Wait a second. Hang on a moment. Do we no longer have fuel crossflow here? What? I think we may no longer have fuel crossflow. I was really confused about why we had fuel crossflow. Oh, look at that. We've got an eclipse. I was really confused about why we had fuel crossflow, but I think we now don't. Curiosity. Okay, this is really weird. I think this is just not counting. And we don't actually have this one open, I think. I think it's just not counting the fuel in these outside tanks, because as far as I'm aware, we shouldn't have fuel crossflow here. But we definitely do. So I still don't understand how it works, but I will accept it. And clearly the delta V calculator doesn't know how it works either. Let's go ahead and detach this stage at this time. And off we go. Fantastic. Okay, now as far as actually going to the moon goes, I mean, it looks like we're probably going to have to do an orbit here. Not like that's a big deal. We'll take this out over here like so. And that is 866. Okay, now this is showing our meters per second here. Yeah, this is clearly a little bit buggy. There's no doubt about that. And I'm guessing that that eclipse was probably what that shadow issue was about. Okay, we're just going to bring this in to be something along like the lines of this. I think that's fine. Although maybe we should burn a little radial to bring it in. Yeah, that's probably more efficient. That's only 874 meters per second. So we're going to continue bringing this in a little bit here. That should be about good enough. I would like to tweak that inclination a little bit on the way. That is something we could do, and then we'd bring the anti-radial out a bit. I'm not sure what that's... Oh, that's changing the timing. I didn't want that to change the timing. Let's not do that. Thank you very much. That's retrograde there. I do want it to be prograde, and we'll have it be around here. Okay, and I wanted this to then be anti-radial. So we'll just redo the radial... I moved it again. We'll just redo the radial portion of this burn to be something along the lines of that. Of course, you know what? I don't think there's actually any point in doing this right now. We'll get that done later. We've got plenty of DV. Let's just go ahead and warp to that maneuver. Okay, so off we go. We can go ahead and close these at this point. I don't know if it'll cross-pull from those. That's something I'm interested in finding out, for sure. And this is going to have to get untracked when we do some space debris untracking. That's okay. We'll go ahead and point here. And this is going to be at T minus 1 minute and 6.5 seconds. So we'll go ahead and warp towards that. And we will begin this burn here in just a moment. Now, and off we go. We've got that sweet, sweet Terrier on there. That's perfect. Our thrust to weight over Kerbal is only 0.58, but that doesn't actually matter. And this is going to burn nearly half the fuel we've got here, but that also doesn't matter. We are going to be refueling this once we arrive at our station. Goodbye. There goes our booster. I don't know how it got ahead of us. Actually, it went slightly below us in the orbit, didn't it? Yeah, it did. Oh, hey, it's a KSC. Look at that. You can see the landing pad, or rather the runway from here. That's the landing pad. That's the building complex. I like it. That's the KSC right there. That's where we lifted off. Okay, so we are still needing about another 500 meters per second in this burn. We've got plenty to make this happen. I did want to check. Yep, we are pulling from all of these tanks equally. I don't pretend to understand how. There is no fuel line here. There is only this octagonal strut. I don't get it. But okay, is that Minmus? I believe that may be Minmus right there. Hello, Minmus. Well, off we go to the moon. And, of course, we're going to have to do a few maneuvers once we get there. But that will be absolutely no problem. So we will push this apoapsis out, and we've got plenty of delta V to make this happen. We're not coming in retrograde, so it'll just probably take a few phasing orbits. And a lot less delta V. Our solar panels are definitely doing their job at this point. And I'm definitely glad that we changed the facing of them. That is a thing that I am very glad of. Just don't understand how we have crossfeed here. I really don't. But apparently octagonal struts give crossfeed. Who would have known? Certainly not me. Okay, well, we're just going to continue burning here for a little bit until we get an encounter. I don't actually care about getting this specific encounter, so it's okay. We'll just do that. Good enough. And once we get at this periapsis, we will go ahead and bring that on down, and we're going to want to change this inclination as well, and we're probably best off doing that when we are as circularized as possible. So let's just circularize this orbit, something along the lines of this. And then we'll warp to that maneuver. Off we go. Goodbye, Kerbin. Hello, Moon. And we're going to flip over towards retrograde. Wonderful. And with us at retrograde, we will burn this at T minus 11.5 seconds. So let's go ahead and warp towards 11.5 seconds. Okay, and we will burn this now. This will get us a nice circular orbit, and we've still got some DV here for orbital plane matching and getting ourselves an encounter. We're definitely going to be a bit short on the DV in terms of safety margins, but we can always dip into our monoprop. No problem there. Okay, we'll call this good enough. Yes, indeed. Okay, we will take a look at our inclination. Actually, it looks to me like we don't really need a serious inclination change. What is our inclination? 1.3 degrees? Okay, we can make a small inclination change, I suppose. Yeah, this is the direction we'd want to go. That was too much. Absolutely too much. I mean, it's a weird time to be changing our inclination, right? Actually, I honestly don't believe we need to do this. Let's just bring this back to where it was. Something along the lines of that. And we'll call that good. And we will just look for a bit of a rendezvous here. I'm not sure what our best timing on that's going to look like. And that's going to be... Oh, that's plenty of DV. We'll go ahead and set this as our target. Yeah, our descending node is going to be a little awkward here. Let's see what our descending node looks like. 2.6. I mean, we could fix that. We absolutely could. To be something like that. We'll go ahead and do that. That is only going to be a 9.1 meter per second burn, so no concerns about our delta V at this point. Our safety margins aren't necessarily the best, but it should be completely fine, I think. So this is only a 1 second burn, and we'll just go ahead and warp towards the T marker. It doesn't kind of matter when we burn this at this point, just because this is going to be a fairly... Can't help but notice it just changed direction on us. Or was I dumb? I may have just been dumb. It's hard to say. I believe I was just dumb. Okay, so we're just going to hold on the marker. And we'll do something along the lines of that. That should be good enough. Yeah, 0.1. Close enough. So at the ascending node here, let's see what it would look like if we did an encounter. That's pretty bad timing. But we have a big ol' orbit here, so we can do it just here. That's a separation of 1.9 kilometers. That is good enough, in all honesty, but we can probably tune that. Yes, indeed. That is a separation of 0.0 kilometers with a relative speed of 174 meters per second. That is solid. We'll go ahead and warp to that. That is, of course, going to be a pure retrograde burn. Excellent. And we will burn this at T minus 6 seconds. We'll go ahead and warp towards that. That was a little more warp than I was looking for. Okay, we'll burn this now. Okay. Looking good so far. Node is shifting on us. We'll chase that node a little bit. I do want to get this fairly close to accurate, this burn. So we'll just go ahead and do something like this. We should be on SAS, or rather stability assist right now. That's probably good enough, right? Half a kilometer, that's good enough. So let's go ahead and warp to here. This is going to be on the dark side of the moon. Of course it is. That's how it typically works. There is no alternator on this thing. We'll have to keep that in mind. Okay, so we're going to want to be in target retrograde mode here. And we're just going to want to warp until we're a little bit closer here. I just wanted to get pointed in roughly the correct direction. We'll warp until we are about here. Okay. I'll cancel that warp, and we're going to get a little closer here with a manual warp. Okay. 0.5 kilometers is our target distance, or rather our closest distance here. So I'm going to start this burn now, and it was a little late. I can tell you it was a little late. I should have started it at like 2 kilometers rather than 1. But that's okay. We will go ahead and bring our relative speed down. And we're still under 1 kilometer away, so that is perfect. We're now getting in a little bit closer to the target, and I would like to push in towards the target at something like 5 meters per second. Little faster. There we go. We'll flip over to target retrograde. What is our encounter point now? 0.1? Sure. And we'll go ahead and warp 2 minutes in the future. There we go. So 100 meters is currently our closest pass that we know about. It's probably a little closer than that because that's a rounded number, but that's okay. We're currently about 200 meters out. I'm going to shave off 0.3 meters per second that we have accumulated from being on a slightly different orbit. There we go. And let's go ahead and bleed off the rest of this speed. 3 meters per second. 1.5. There we go. Okay, let's turn over towards the target here. Now, we're going to need to burn a bit above the target as well because of the location of this docking port. So let's just hold somewhere over here-ish. I want to be a little above and to this direction here of the target. So we'll aim somewhere about here, and we'll move up to around 3 meters per second. Get our relative velocity up there. There we go. Yes, this is going to be a much better angle. We'll flip around to retrograde, and once we get to that correct angle, then we will, of course, we want to set this docking port as our target. There we go. And then we want to allow ourselves to come up over this way a little bit. Yeah, this is looking pretty decent. We're about 70 meters out right now. 65. We're going to start getting further away quite soon. Let's go ahead and kill this velocity. There we go. And let's point towards target at this point. And this is our target node here. Perfect. And we'll just burn in at about 1 meter per second. There we go. RCS on. And we will now IJKL our way in. The slight changes here to our velocity. I'm going to cut us down to 0.5 meter per second before impact. Just tweaking our heading a little bit here. And now I'm going to cut us down to about 0.5 meter per second. There we go. Tweaking that heading just a little bit more. And overall, this looks reasonable. I mean, we're coming in at a slightly awkward angle to be sure. But I think, I'm hoping that we'll actually dock this. Unlike the one where we bounced the first time. Okay. In we come. I'm going to reduce our speed further to 0.25 meter per second. There we go. Now, we are definitely at an angle. There's no doubt about that. And we'll be able to change that later on. That will be much easier to change from the station rather than from this craft. But we'll just get this docking in there a little bit. Just adjusting with the RCS a little bit. And I believe That did not dock, although I feel like it should have. Let's back this off. There we go, and try that again. That worked previously, although it took a couple of tries. Okay. I feel like we should be docked right now. That is for sure. Please let me dock. Okay, we're now pulling away from it a little bit. And let's just come on back in. That is not the direction I want to go. This is the direction I want to go. Okay. Let's see about getting back in there. Yeah, we're a little bit off here, and that is to be expected, of course. Okay. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. Got it. I know what direction we're facing now, I think. Maybe I don't. It would appear I do not. RCS off, and we're just going to back off here and try this again. Okay. Let's get a little distance and give this another go. Let's head to retrograde here. RCS off, and let's kill this relative speed. There we go. RCS on and kill that relative speed. There we go. RCS off again, and let's try this at a slightly better angle, hopefully. I really feel like we should have docked that first time, but, you know, whatever. Okay. Let's bring it in. This is definitely a better angle, and I'm just rotating us a bit here as we come in. Okay. It's definitely trying to force it. You can see the docking forces happening there. There we go. There's the docking forces. Perfect. Okay, so there's our first mining module attached. That was a little bit more intense than I was intending for it to be, but what we're going to do is we're going to send this down to the lunar surface and then send up another one while this is filling up. But of course, in order to do that, we are going to have to fill all of these tanks up. So let's go ahead and get that process started. We will refuel this guy. Just pin open all 5 of these tanks. And we will output from this tank. Now this will take a little while, there's no doubt about that. However, it is time to put a cut in here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and next episode, we're going to land our mining module on the surface of the moon and begin our mining process and send up our second mining module that is of course intended to be docked there. And I can't help but notice that when I did that, I broke our fuel drain. There we go. Perfect. Did I already do my outro? I'm not sure if I did or not, so I'm going to do it again. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and I will see you all next time.